There should be a dwarf fortress appearing now, but there isn't. Let me fix that. That's better. Good evening and welcome to my dwarf fortress. Really is running. I just started the applications in the wrong order. That is Keskalokil. As you can see, we have had some goblins, and the goblins have mostly been chopped into little pieces. But what I kind of noticed last session was, or rather thought about this evening after remembering last session, was that we did appear to be spending an inordinate amount of time tidying up after goblin sieges. And I'm wondering if we can make this more efficient by, like, arranging some mechanism, say a railway, for shipping parts of goblins to the right place. Because, like, there's an enormous lot of bits of goblins, and to be fair, bits of armour here, which is like where we expect goblins to die mostly. And maybe we should arrange things so that rather than hauling them all by hand one at a time from there to this stockpile, where we eventually just tip most of them into the rubbish anyway, we could instead have some mechanism where they just get put onto mine carts here and sent over here to be dumped, say, straight into the straight into the rubbish dump, where there is now an atom smasher to dispose of them. Which, like, I hope is working properly. And maybe that would mean the dwarves don't spend quite so much time carrying bits of goblin around. So, well, we could try doing this, couldn't we?
Let's change Keskalokil.
Yes.
We need to change that so that it scans more like London. Which I can't immediately work out how to do.
I mean, like, trains for transporting people to at least burial sites are not an entirely new thing. There was the well-known Necropolis Railway that ran trains from Waterloo to wherever it was out in the suburbs where it was cheaper to find burial spots.
Yeah, there's a Charlie Stross novel that features this wonderful everything, which, to be fair, was about as squelchy as this, only with more zombies.
So yes.
What can possibly go wrong?
So yes, I think this is probably something approximating a good plan. I'm just looking at the layout and what we're going to have to do to accomplish it. I mean, on the one hand, maybe I could just build a direct railway. On the other hand, I've got quite a lot of this in the form of a roller coaster, which I'm sure could be repurposed. Like, we could start doing it. Yes, we have the slight problem that the roller coaster has run into a tree, and we have the slight problem that we're not sure the roller coaster is safe, I was going to say, but it's slightly more complicated than that. In particular, the roller coaster is expected to run quite fast, which might be a bit dangerous, but maybe we can do something sensible. So, how would we do this? I mean, we could start by just trying to do it by guiding along the tracks. So let's just check how our building is going. That's got suspended. Let's resume that so we can at least try to build into the tree. All right, so that's a trunk. I think we can build through branches, but not through trunks. But that probably means we can safely put a corner here, because probably that trunk acts as a wall. So possibly we could actually use this as a convenient way to bend the railway southwards. Though rather inconveniently, that sends it southwards pretty directly over the river. Oh well, it'll get out from the river eventually. Let's try doing that then. Have we got a decent amount of wood? Are we going to have to cut down more trees? We've got some. That's not right. Right, so unfortunately there's another trunk there. Well, let's just keep bouncing off trees until we get to somewhere useful. No access to 3 building material non-economic items. Does that mean that we can't build that because the rest of the track isn't in place yet? That's kind of annoying. Oh well. Let's wait for some more railway to be built. Then we'll suspend the last one because we probably want to build that differently. So does that? So one issue what I did think of was that we're trying to also have goblin heads on pedestals, but actually I think for those we don't have to put every goblin head on a pedestal, really. Like, we just need enough to scare them. So I think it's quite reasonable not to attempt to put every goblin head on a pedestal and instead just put some goblin heads on pedestals. That looks like a quantity of goblin names, doesn't it? Let's put Ngokang Uxostra's head on there. And heave. There was someone called Arstruck, wasn't there? Arstruck Aslotanketh. And Zuspgas sounds like a goblin name as well. So we can do a third one. Oh no, Zuspgas is already on a pedestal. Right, let's forbid that one then. What? No, forbid. Forbid. Right, I've forbidden a few objects that are on pedestals.
So just having the sort of thought here, which is, your plan to have the train to the necropolis / rubbish dump, atom smasher. How do you do this without crushing the carts, the railway equipment that you're using to?
There is one of the things you can do with a track stop is to have it dump the contents of the minecart automatically. So we arrange that the minecart arrives at a track stop and then deposits its contents there.
Okay,
So I think that should work all right.
and the usual ability of dwarves to screw everything up.
Yes.
Put that on Simon's chair.
So I'm now going, maybe I should actually just forbid all of the items in this big pile of dead goblins so that the dwarves don't get distracted by it and do and instead prioritise more urgent things. So let's do that. That's probably fairly safe. That will mean that a bunch of jobs around here can't be done, but we'll unforbid them later. Except that we have to be a bit careful because then we'll accidentally unforbid all the heads on the pedestals. Now the pedestal itself is forbidden there, which is probably not quite what we meant. Still, it'll do. That should distract the dwarves a little from moving objects around, at least from moving objects we don't currently want them to move. Still seems to be plenty of objects to be moved, mind. Right, there is someone coming along to do some railway building here. Are you going to do the next one as well? There's an argument that I should have a stock of wood closer to the place where we actually want these built. Also, we don't really need trees on this side of the river because we don't pick fruit on this side of the river. So we could probably sensibly create like a wood stockpile over here. And fell a few trees over here. And that will probably make it a bit quicker. Okay, where are you going to get this next piece of wood? So, one fiddly bit with the using the railway is that currently dwarves have to actually enter the fortress to put things into the rubbish dump. So we're probably going to need a way to get things into the rubbish dump other than via the inside of the fortress, by dropping them in from above. I think probably the right way to handle that is to have the railway, so that we want to avoid goblins being able to, while still alive, get into the fortress by having them, we want to avoid their being able to come in along the railway. I think one way we can deal with that is to have the railway like several Z levels above the entrance. So I think what we want to do is to build initially and temporarily a staircase here, out of whatever happens to be close at hand. Why is there siltstone very close to there? That's kind of weird. And then build a wider platform around here so it's not possible to climb onto this. I should check the rules on climbing probably. And then have a hole in the centre that will allow us to drop things from an even higher railway line. So we could erase a small part of that stockpile in order to make some space for some track. And then if we're going to, say, have walls at this level, I think that makes it harder to climb. And then that means this level will be a floor. Then we want to have like a couple of Z levels above that. So we want to have our track start up here on Z level +3. So it will be at Z level +3 there, and probably and there, I think. Then that can be +2, +1, +0, -1. So we want to build a wall there. So, no, -1 there. So we want then to be a wall there, right? And therefore a ramp there. And then we gradually build that upwards. Right, I think I believe in this. And then we can at least shovel all of the contents of this stockpile into the mine carts. We're apparently getting into a fight with a raven. Curiously enough, the raven lost. We may still have too many tasks making things out of wood. I mean, I suppose in theory we could like start constructing the railway out of copper or something, but oh, that corpse should not be forbidden, because that's a dwarven corpse which should be buried. Maybe if we're not trying to move all the goblin corpses everywhere, we can move the dwarf corpse to its correct location. So, it looks like our leopard has wandered off from it. Yes, there is now a tame leopard in our dining room. She felt hope after being released from confinement. Is she available as a pet? I think she is. Yes. We do have a button for train our leopard for war, but I fear that the goblins may be a bit more lethal than a leopard. So I'm a little bit disinclined to try to do that. Where are you going? What are you playing at? I mean, that item there also appears to be part of a dwarf, so let's allow that to be moved. I think you have found an item that's so far south that I hadn't bothered forbidding it. I mean, there is admittedly a problem that there is far more like goblinite, as in things that need melting down, than bits of goblin per se. Except when a goblin gets punched in the mouth and they have 15 zillion teeth. Right, so that's the first bit of the upward ramp built, and we've also got that built. So now we could go. I feel that the stink pipe extension should be made out of stone. How many squares do we need? We need 5 at the top, 5 at the bottom, and therefore 3 at each of the other sides. So that's only 16. If we could go for microcline, which is very brightly coloured. Let's go for cobaltite. That's quite a nice colour. Oh, you've declared you can't get at it. Okay. Until we've built the first bit. Yes, I suppose that's kind of true. And meanwhile, we should build a wall there. And a ramp. No, not like that. There. One problem with my signalling technology is that I don't really have a good way to do converging junctions. I'm going to have to invent one at some point. There's a bit of nice blue cobaltite floor. So now I can probably actually build the rest of this. No.
Okay. Small problem with reading Marlowe's Edward II, which is one of the main characters is called Gaveston, and this is yeah. I know it's Galveston, but it's too close. It's too close.
Right, so now we are building an additional platform here. That was meant to be walls, not floors, Ben, you idiot. Cancel all of those. Well, at least most of them haven't been built yet. I think we can cancel them most quickly by officially asking to demolish them. And that one as well. And then we instead build them. Actually, we do need some of those, don't we? Because of the rules about how you can build walls. So we do actually need to build a floor there and there and there, and indeed where we've built one, because you can't build walls diagonally. So that will deal with most of that. Yes, the idea of the walls is that I think that much of an overhang with a wall above it is impossible to climb up. And so we're not going to be in danger of goblins climbing into the rubbish dump and getting themselves crushed, which, like, admittedly, will probably not be a very big problem. Right, so now we've built another layer of that, so we can go build a ramp there and build a wall there. So dwarves are now building this weird system of cobaltite walls. Which I hope will be enough to stop anything climbing into the rubbish chute. Right, so now we can remove that floor and replace them with walls. Actually, we could be slightly more efficient than that. No, it doesn't matter. was going to say we could build a wall in the middle instead, but one of those squares has to be floor until we finish building all the other walls, so doesn't really matter which. Still no one's burying that spare dwarf. What's going on? Like, is one person dwarf managed to die in the goblin siege?
Now no one will bury them.
Yes.
They're not cursed.
Don't think so.
Them soon, otherwise they're going to come and haunt you, aren't they?
Yes. This is a danger. I mean, it's possible that that some part of them has been buried.
Yeah, but this just then ends up like one of those lists of one of the sort of Plantagenet kings of England. We buried your heart here, your kidneys there, and we left your spine somewhere in a field in Colchester.
Those accidentally got suspended, yes. Probably because they were inaccessible for a bit. Right, resume. Oh, right, yes, that's why there are two piles of cobalt-type blocks sitting on the cage traps there. So the other thing, of course, that we have now that we've started installing cage traps is we have a small quantity of goblins in cages that we might want to do something with. I mean, I suppose we could just drop them into the atom smasher. I'm kind of going, is it unethical to atom smash live goblins? Would it be more appropriate to, like, hurl them into the sea or drop them into lava or something?
Well, I mean,
Mostly because I think it would be amusing to try to construct a machine for hurling caged goblins, ideally separating them from their cages and hurling them into the sea. We don't have SGT asks, do you have lava in this fortress? No, that is a slight problem. We have never delved deeply enough as to get actual lava.
also if you do that, you'd have to go and like deal with the forgotten beast problem in the caverns, wouldn't you?
Okay, that one got suspended somehow as well. Yes, and we might have to deal with the forgotten beast problem in the caverns. Well, I mean, we could go round the upper caverns. We don't actually have to go through them if we're careful.
Yes, but then you just run into the usual barrel problem, or the even more usual, whoops, we flooded our entire thing with lava problem because, well, dwarves.
Hey, I don't think any of my streamed dwarf fortresses have involved lava flooding.
I bet they've involved unscheduled lava-related deaths, though.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Oh, that one's got suspended as well, right. I think nose tools may... I think in nose tools I used lava to fuel all of my workshops after a while because they were because we didn't have much by way of firewood or coal. Here we've got coal though, so like lava is kind of unnecessary. Come and build some more things. Actually, we need miners to come and demolish these bits of floor now, and that seems they...
You still need your dwarf buried.
Yes, no, the corpse has vanished. Someone has actually got round to it. Well, when I say vanished, it's currently being hauled by a dwarf. I can just see it there. Logem Goldlocked is moving a corpse and doesn't feel anything after seeing Cog Grotto Glove's dead body, but is annoyed by being caught in the rain. Don't mind the death, do object to the rain. Right. So what's our mining? Have we like lost all our mining dwarves or something? We've got a reasonable number selected for mining. Don't quite know why we've chosen that one. Let's go for someone who like doesn't have another job. Ideally, who isn't currently isn't currently busy doing military stuff. There's not many of those, mind. You. Apparently there is still too much storing of items to do, even though I've forbidden a lot of the items.
You know what? I think we're meant to think Gaveston's a baddie.
So that is the Z level of the top of the thing. So that's one Z level up. I think I'm going to go one more Z level up. Actually, no, because there. Yes, I think no. We can build a horizontal track from here. I think yes. Though I will wait until we've got all the ramps in place, and then I should be able to do the track, this bit of track in one run, and then we can test at least that bit of the goblin disposal system. So obviously it will get more complicated if we need to be able to get what was I going to say? If we need, when we want to be able to get minecarts back, which we're going to want eventually. Right, so I think now I should be able to just say, I would, if we weren't about to run out of wood, be able to start building more tracks, but we have a distinct wood shortage, owing to, again, no one actually coming out to do the jobs I want done.
What are you doing instead?
I have plenty of woodcutters. I think they're mostly moving items around. Right, there's an enormous pile of store item in stockpile jobs underway. And then there's quite a lot of bin and of jobs to store. I think in particular bits of goblin armour in bins, even though I've forbidden a lot of them. Let's forbid more items. Let's forbid everything on the east side of the river now, because at least the main bit of dwarf corpse has been properly buried. So maybe that will fortress attracted no migrants this season. It's not very dangerous.
Maybe they just don't like the look of all the goblin bits.
Well, we're trying to fix that. There's still an awful lot of store item in bin jobs available. Come on, someone, come and cut down some trees for me. It'll make my life a lot easier. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start building railways out of rock. And, like, that would work, but it feels kind of wrong. Mostly because we're building things above ground and not really part of the main fortress, so... Does going through that mist make you feel happy about about waterfalls? Apparently, sea spray does not make people happy in the way that that freshwater spray does. Okay, if no one's going to make me any more wood, then I'm going to build this out of rock. Well, I'll build it out of logs until we run out of logs. So I think, does this work? Why are we getting must remove construction in each of these places? Can I build it to there? Yes. And then we can extend it out there, right? That works. We want it to extend to there so that then we can drop over the end. Well, let's use all the logs we can. And then build the rest out of wood. Out of stone. Right, so that seems to have asked for the correct bit of track. So then we should be able to, once we do at least need some mine. Well, I mean, we don't have to make this thing entirely goblin proof yet. It would just be nice to. So possibly now someone could actually extract this leg from a tree. This is possibly another reason why we want to fell some of the trees on this side of the river, because they're entirely full of goblin bits and a few dwarf bits.
I think there are five or six votes at least. So.
Right, so now we could construct a track stop here, which should not attempt to dump. We'll probably have to have friction on it, at least for now. It could be built there. Of course, actually removing the hole making a hole in the floor here will also require a miner. So let's actually ask for that now. Let's try asking for that with very high priority and see if it helps.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on whether this is like asking for priorities in Java or not.
Why is that one not built? Is that suspended for some reason? No.
It's like the Java priority system, and most of the time the underlying operating system Windows will ignore it and process it whenever it feels like it.
So now let's make a track stop here, which should dump to the west. Actually, we don't need a track stop at the bottom, do we? That just has to be, at least, yeah, depending how we organise this.
I may, of course, be slagging off Java unjustifiably in the last 10 years I have stopped doing this.
So let's actually remove that track stop because it's unnecessary. Right, so yes. Meanwhile, isn't we just entirely full of stuff we can't butcher here? Yes, it looks like it. Someone has now built the track stop at the top of that ramp, and someone else is dismantling the one at the bottom. Right, so now I think I should be able to say add a new route which runs from there to there. Oops. And that at the loading side fills from that stockpile with all kinds of corpses and body parts. And departs, well, we'll just say, we'll just use the defaults. Guide west immediately under various fairly obvious circumstances. And at the dump end, does not load from anywhere, simply guide east. Oops. I should have kept the one that was at 0 days, immediately, always. And then we assign that a minecart and we see how many people die. Actually, they probably shouldn't, because guide mode is pretty fluffy, really. So what is this actually a stockpile of? Right, it's corpses and not refuse body parts, because corpse stockpiles are used for storing sentient creatures, and body part stockpiles are used for storing non-sentient creatures. We should dismantle that cage because we've removed the leopard from it. Right, and now we have a whole... Right, these bits are finally getting dismantled. That's nice. So now I can construct a wall here out of cobalt-type blocks, and one here. And here, and here. And then the last thing we do is to remove that section of floor and replace it with a wall. But actually, I think we should test that the system works first. Right, one minecart delivered. So now we hope that there's a bunch of put item in minecart jobs pending. We hope. Oh yes, there we are. A bunch of store item in vehicle jobs. So ideally the dwarves will come along and put items into this minecart until it's somewhat full. I think I want to get those blocks removed. Let's do this the slightly tedious way. Create a tiny stockpile there that takes everything, but not from anywhere. Create a tiny stockpile here that takes everything, but not from anywhere except that stockpile, and that will cause someone to move that block down the stairs. I hope. Someone has left a bin on that stockpile. That's unhelpful. Full of soap. No, that wasn't what I meant. Let's remove that stockpile and try again. So it should, I mean, we can make it just take blocks to be on the make life simpler. It should not allow any bins, no matter what they might contain. It should not take from anywhere. It should only take from that tiny stockpile there. Try again. This time, don't store this bin of soap there. I meant that. I wanted to look at the store item in vehicle job. Right, there are now lots of store item in vehicle jobs, a truly ludicrous number of them. Wonder if someone can actually do one of them. That would be really helpful. Because if this works, then I can start doing more railways. I suppose I don't have to muck around with junctions if... Right, okay, let's see if we can now build this bit correctly. I don't have to muck around with... Does anyone cut like any trees down yet? Yes, we've got wood now, finally. I don't have to muck around with junctions if I... start by building the railway. If I build into the dumping point from 4 different directions, then I can have 4 railways coming in without having to do anything very clever. I don't suppose you're coming to put things in there, are you? Yes! Here we have a dwarf. Oops. Loading up our vehicle with items. Indeed, quite a lot of dwarves loading up this minecart with bits of dead goblin. This is quite efficient. I don't think that was the minecart disappearing. I think this is the minecart, yes, still being filled up. We are slightly oddly watching another dwarf while we're doing this. Let's stop that. So we are fairly efficiently filling up this minecart. If we look at the route, can we thus see how full the minecart is? Right, it's only 8% full, right? You can fit a lot of bits of goblin in a minecart, can't you? Well, that's helpful. Like, I reckon we can fit most of the contents of this stockpile into a single minecart. Now it's going to turn out that when they get dumped, something goes horribly wrong. We have an enormous quantity of bits of goblin in completely the wrong place. Also, why is that tooth forbidden, eh? Steph says, does DF model object packing, or are they just effectively liquid? They are just effectively liquid. There is a maximum capacity of a minecart in volume, and objects have density, and we can fit that many that quantity of total quantity of objects into the minecart. And like, it's still only 13% full. So there's quite a lot of unforbid. Yes, I can unforbid every object in that area, can't I now? That would be sensible. And unmark for dumping, because we're going to use a much more efficient approach. %16 full. No. The items from this stockpile are finally getting dumped, though possibly we could organise having it work. We could arrange for it to work in the similar way. So then what I think we want to do is to set up another like goblin corpse stockpile somewhere over here that's easy to put things into, and run a minecart track by some means, possibly along the existing roller coaster, though I'm not sure. Into the same dumping point. Why are you fighting? What are you fighting? Oh right, someone's dropped a dog tooth on you for no obvious reason. Where did that happen? Oh. No. Here. I mean, I expect occasional items to get flung up. Damn it, now this stockpile has a bin in it. There isn't anything else in the stockpile though, so let's try removing the stockpile and seeing if that bin gets put somewhere more useful. Damn it. So we so far have 362 kilos of minecart and bits, mostly bits. The minecart is still only 28% full. What do the rules say about when it gets to depart? Immediately when it's entirely full, or 14 days when it's 50% full. I mean, we could possibly actually make the threshold a bit lower so that it would be Well, we ran out of bins. We had the embarrassing thing of not having enough bins for a while. Now we just have occasional bins in the wrong place, it looks like. So then presumably we might want something to do this, but for meltable armour or something. That's going to be a bit exciting. And indeed for leather armour, which we want to put into this stockpile. Which ideally we want to actually store in bins because it's easier to get it. I suppose maybe we don't need to store it in that stockpile. Maybe we just dump it straight into... Oh, yeah, we have to be a bit careful. It's going to say dump it straight into the trade depot, but then if there's a stockpile that can take it from the trade depot, I fear that will happen. I'm slightly concerned about having a departure condition that's 100% full, because surely it's quite hard to hit precisely 100%. Do we start stuffing all the little gaps with spare teeth in order to try to get precisely 100%? Also, I'm slightly concerned that we're not going, that this stockpile will actually not be able to fill this minecart. Like, this does make me think that maybe we don't really need to dispose of the corpses. The goblin corpses. We just fill minecarts with them, and then we could hurl them down minecart tracks at the next batch of goblins. It's probably not actually helpful. Are trying in part to reduce the number of objects in the world. So of course this stockpile isn't actually a natural place to end up with goblin parts. It's just that this was where I happened to make the stockpile. Unlike out here, which is a natural place to end up with goblin parts. Right, so that's that entire stockpile loaded up into that minecart, and it's still not very full. Oh no, it's 89% full now. So it should depart in 14 days from some time or other. Maybe, given how fast we can load it, maybe we should turn that number down quite a lot. Like, it's a very short journey. Oh, right, it's already departed. There it is at the top of the hole, and I think currently falling are a largish quantity of goblin parts. So we could probably pick one of them and follow it. Maybe. I don't seem to be able to actually like click on any of... Oh, they're falling objects. We probably can't follow them, yes. Well, now they're on top of the bridge. This is possibly going to be a bit exciting when the bridge opens. Let's just pick a random one of them to follow. So it's now got wet, and now it's been hurled up in the air and has ended up somewhere inconvenient. Right, we need now to make the rubbish dump less prone to items getting stuck in the wrong places, don't we? because it definitely has a problem of that. Like a lot of goblin parts have ended up in the right place and thus destroyed. But like there's a spare foot there. There's a bunch of teeth there. Yes, we clearly have a bit of a problem of objects ending up in the wrong place, and we don't need the ability to, we don't need all of these shelves and such that we've got lying around anymore, but it might be a little bit fiddly to fix them. Let's see what we can do. So our aim here is to turn this into a perfectly smooth shaft. As it were. So what we want to do here is dig through this wall and then replace that staircase with a wall, and then replace this wall with a replacement wall. And at this level, we want to demolish that pump and put in a wall there. Probably thus demolish that staircase first. Can I build a wall in place of the staircase? It looks like I can. I don't think I can build a wall here. No. So similarly, at this level, we're going to want to cut into the staircase. And at this level, I think what I want to do is to remove that floor hatch and then put a door in place of it. Yes. And probably maybe build a floor there or demolish the staircase as well. So all of the items in this square should be dumped again. So let's unforbid, and then it's not like it will take very much effort to dump them from that square. Dump everything in that square, well, except for the floor hatch itself. Obviously. Maybe it's not worth that faff. We should probably at least mark for dumping the rotten item here, in the hope that it can then get destroyed rather than continuing to rot. It's rotting detectably because it's one square off from the hole that has a path to the outside world. Snooze, good night. I'm going to stay here until midnight and then go to bed. Why is there a pair of teeth here? Okay, we might need teeth. What? Oh dear, the teeth have got hurled into the and other bits have got hurled into the fortifications around the stockpile. Around the stink pipe, which is, yes, slightly unfortunate. I mean, the dwarves are now collecting all the bits of goblin that didn't quite make it down the hole properly, so that they can have another go. I think these have got suspended because there were too many items in the way. That one is now clear, so that should be able to be built. Yes, good. I think we should now demolish that pillar, though it doesn't really matter. Actually, it does. We're not going to be able to install the next one if we don't. Pigby says, did you say you've got a stink pipe? Well, we kind of have, in that I wanted the rubbish dump to be exposed to the outside air, and so the way I did that was to tunnel to the surface. And while I could just have cheated and put the floor back in afterwards, I thought it would be better to arrange things so that it actually had a vent at the top. So I have this a hole through the ground, which then has a bunch of fortifications around it for ventilation. And now it has a kind of platform above it with a wall around so that it's difficult for invaders to climb in, and then a system for dropping goblin parts in from the very top. It's kind of got repurposed a bit. I think we may still have too many objects. Oh, there's even a couple of forbidden objects in that square. Let's fix that. Because obviously if the objects are forbidden, then no one can move them out of the way. Right, we can now build a wall there. Oh, are we out of melt designated items? Well, we should probably designate more copper weapons or copper armour in particular for melting. I mean, then we should find something to do with the copper, but... There we go. All copper mail shirts are to be melted. That should give us some progress. Right, so now we can build a wall there. And actually we can't build a wall there unless we make another square available, can we? Let's dig that out as well then. Right, so that square now has an exposed downward stairway, which we could demolish. No, let's not demolish that until we've got that wall into place. Unsuspend, unpause, then things will actually progress. Right, so that wall's now removed, which means we can now put a wall there. unforbid another item. Oh, there are forbidden items here as well. That way they can be removed. And then with this lot all sorted, then it shouldn't be the case that dropping bits of goblin down this hole causes them to get hurled back up again. Unfortunately, we now have bits of goblin stuck in all of these bits of wall here. But I suppose we don't need the vents anymore, do we? So we could demolish those in turn. Dear, and there's one stuck all the way up here. Demolish those in turn and rebuild them as simple walls. Obviously, if we demolish them all, then the entire edifice will come crashing down in an inelegant mess. That wall is, for some reason, suspended. Unsuspend that. That wall is not suspended, but not actually complete yet. That wall is suspended. Resume. It's item blocking site. But I think I have unblocked it, as in none of the items there is forbidden now. The only danger is that they might be like scheduled for dumping, and so no one will want to move them. Someone just walked through that square, but not apparently in the process of actually building the wall I want. Right, so that level is now properly walled off so that there's no little shelves that things being hurled up from below can get stuck on. This level now has that square built, so now we can build that one. This level we're still waiting for that, and it's got suspended again. And then once that's done, we'll sort out the top level. I'm slightly concerned that we may find that the bridge can actually hurl goblin parts all the way up here, which will be a bit embarrassing. But possibly we just need to occasionally send some staff up there to clear it out. Yeah, I think our animal training is not going very well, but let's keep practicing. We might get good at it eventually. All right, that pillar has now been built, so now we can put another wall in behind it. And moreover, we can now demolish the down staircase there. Does that work? No, I don't think we can demolish a down staircase. I think we just need to build possibly a floor over it. Yeah, that'll do. Because a down staircase is kind of a hole in the ground. Right, a few more bits of corpses have just got squished. Pearwood minecart has another large batch of goblin parts in it. Oh dear, we're now up to 2 goblin parts on top of here. So let's try also like removing one of these squares, seeing if that works well. Right, so all of the lower levels are now perfectly tubular. That's nice. That's now got a floor in it, so now I could try okay, we actually have 0 spare doors at the moment. Let's add a few loose door making tasks. So that means that we can still get objects getting stuck on this level, but at least those are nice and easy for the dwarves to clear out again. That was a dwarf bringing this goblin part up here and then immediately putting it into a minecart. So that's kind of successful in that we are now able to build. We are now able to build railways that can be used for transporting goblin parts into in useful directions. Oh, that's interesting. Is there no limit on how close to the edge of the map I can build a railway? If I ask to go down a level, then it goes, oh, well, there's a ramp you could use over there. Anyway, so we can now see, where are we? If we were to come out to about there, that would probably be good. So let's build a bit more. Okay, we apparently have just about enough to build that. And we're going to need to cut some more trees. Want to be a bit careful. Some of these trees are actually important now as part of the railway system. We've now removed one corner of the stink pipe. Now let's put it back as a wall. So, yes, that seems to be quite an effective bit of railwaying. Apart from the fact that we keep collecting objects on top of the like funnel. Possibly we need to have a cleverer way to clear those out. I don't know, or maybe the fact that that we have a system that occasionally hurls goblin body parts into the air is just part of what the fortress is like now. Don't think that boar tooth is helpful though. Let's just ask that to be dumped. Someone is actually right now making a rock door. Good. Stockpile does have an awful lot of bags of stuff in it, doesn't it? Possibly we need to try to organise those better. So one interesting thing is that you don't actually need tracks to run minecarts on. And I think if you set up a guide type set of routes, then the dwarves will just carry the minecarts around if they have to. I feel this is kind of cheating though. The floor did get constructed. We just need someone to make a door to go on top of it. Actually, one thing we could do now is to drain the river and get the goblin parts out of that. There's drain E there. Because those will have to be hauled to somewhere near the surface anyway, whether we dump them or no. Suppose we could tubularise this a bit more. Wondering if there's some sensible way I can avoid having goblin teeth scattered all over the place. Not sure. While still making it hard for anyone to sneak in through this route. I suppose we could arrange that there's a floor hatch that only opens when there's a minecart about to dump goblin parts. That might do the trick. So now we are draining part of the river in order to get some more goblin bits out of that. We hope. That drain doesn't seem to be sucking much stuff down it, does it? Let's try opening another drain. That got suspended, or is it just being slow? It's just being slow. All right. Okay, I think we may finally be getting some objects accumulating here, albeit not many. is of course a little bit dangerous to just allow people to get in there, because they might manage to get clouted on the head with spare bits of goblin. So let's lock the doors temporarily. Right, that's better. Most of the intact goblin corpses have now... Oh, there's quite a lot there, isn't there? Yeah, we should probably... Let's just open all the drains. I'm sure it'll be fine. If we can find them. Actually, yes. Things are moving around fairly well now, actually. It took a little while to get going, but... we probably do with opening this one to get this goblin out. If we can find drain C. This is sending lowerings quite a long way upstream, isn't it? It's intriguing. This will get more effective once drain C is open. There we go. Right, that's a reasonable proportion of objects cleared out of the river. Still some things moving though. I'll give it a little while longer. That square doesn't look like it's in any imminent danger of emptying though. Oh no, there it goes. That one doesn't then. That tooth is going in a surprising direction. What are you doing in the river, you mad dwarf? Happily, when we turn off the drains, the water level rises fairly slowly, so I don't think it's actually that dangerous. Obviously, one thing I want is for that blind cave ogre skeleton to be collected. Let's see, can we make this stockpile able to take blind cave ogres, if it can't already? Oh, it can, right. So in theory, that blind cave ogre skeleton should, if someone could collect it now, let's turn off dump on that so that it can be put in a stockpile. While the water level's low, I mean, dwarves are probably repeatedly getting swept into the drains, but that's fine. The drains are designed to be fairly safe. Maybe someone can actually pick up that blind cave ogre skeleton and move it. And even if not, they'll probably learn to swim a bit. I think the water levels are rising now that I've closed drain A. Let's open drain A again. I've improved my swimming. Yes, obviously, if you're going to get yourself stuck in the river. So I think a water level below 4, and they may actually be able to pick up that skeleton. Possibly that one as well. I think the number of places you can actually get into this river may be smaller than it looks like. I don't know. Maybe the blind cave ogre isn't going to get removed after all. How sad. There's a bit of track got suspended because it was inconvenient in some way. Yes. Oh, it's the end of another year. So yes, this fortress has been running. Was it started in year 1? So we've just passed 15 years. Oh, it also kind of looks like once you've built minecart tracks into trees, people can collect the dead goblins from them. Not that that is likely to be an entirely good idea, but right. Tribute. We'll look it up once they've dropped it off. Go on, someone should conclude that they can move this item. I think it keeps becoming inaccessible, and so people get assigned to move it. Oh, look, we're still trying to build the infrastructure necessary to dispose of you guys. It's most inconvenient, though that does probably mean I should close the river. I should refill the river with water, doesn't it? So where's drain D then, eh? I mean, obviously there's drain D and it's open. I'm just trying to find the lever for it. It's weird. I mean, I should probably respond to the Vile Force of Darkness's petition, shouldn't I? So I'd quite like to get these levers pulled first. Just unforbidding all of the items that have fallen through the floor here. Yeah, that hatch cover is itself forbidden, which is definitely not what I intended. Right, so I think we've now refilled the river, more or less. There are plenty of items now to be collected from the gratings. So we should probably do something about this Vile Force of Darkness, shouldn't we? It's quite a big one, but like, maybe I should have brought the soldiers up first. Oh well. I think I may be lacking some high-ranking military boss name. Right, so I have asked the military to come to the right places. I've also just noticed that it's midnight, though, so possibly we shouldn't try to finish this siege now. We should save it for Sunday, which would be quite exciting. So, yes, I think that's a good plan. Here's someone coming along to build a bit more railway. I'm sure that'll be fine. There's only one more piece to build. They can probably do that in time. So yes, I think we will save this for Sunday, and on Sunday we will defeat, we hope, another goblin siege, and then go, look, they're arriving. Well, we're getting better at disposing of them. I think the next job is to build a railway that runs all the way over to here, possibly via the roller coaster, but possibly not. Possibly we have a separate railway coming back again, and then we can connect the roller coaster into that by some means, and then we use that to dispose of what will presumably be an even larger pile of stuff over here. But we'll see how that goes on Sunday. So until then, I will say good night, and yes, we can consider how we dispose of yet more bits of goblin. Good night.